Okay, this is the second video in using the unit circle. So the previous one was just reminding you how to create the unit circle. Now I just want to do a couple examples with you of practice problems using the unit circle. Then I'm going to have on Planbook or on Google Classroom the attached quiz that I was going to originally give you, but it's just an assignment for you to practice with the answer key and a blank unit circle for you to use. So for example, if you remember about the unit circle, and I said, what would be the sine of 240 degrees? If you can remember, what we did is we tried to locate where 240 degrees was, either by just looking at the unit circle or drawing our angle around. Well, we know going this way it's 180, and if we had 60 degrees more, we're at 240. So this is 240 degrees. Now to think about what the sine of that is, we need to know what that ordered pair is. Well, that's your 60-degree angle in the third quadrant there. And the coordinates for the 60-degree angle are 1/2 negative and negative radical square root 3 over 2. Now if you remember, sine is the y-coordinate, so we're looking at the y-coordinate here. So the y-coordinate would then be, for the sine of 240, would be negative square root 3 divided by 2. Okay? Let's do another one. What about the cosine of 540 degrees? So knowing that 540 is more than one time around the unit circle, we may want to draw again on here and see that we go this one whole cycle around here is 360. If we add 90 to that, we're at 450. So we add 90 more, we're right here where 180 normally is, and that would be where 540 is. The ordered pair here is -1, 0. Now thinking cosine, remember cosine is the x-coordinate, so we're looking at what the x-coordinate is here, okay? And that would be -1. So you'd write -1. Okay, let's try another example. How about, let's do one of the other 6 trig functions. Now let's try cosecant of -150 degrees. Now if you remember, cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So cosecant is really equal to 1 over sine. Okay, so again, think about the unit circle. Where's 150 degrees? You've got a couple options because this is asking for negative. We go clockwise when we go in the negative rotation. So that's 90 degrees, and then right here is -150 degrees. You could have also just gone up here to where the positive 150 degrees is and then just reflect over the x-axis. So that's -150 degrees. And then what you need to do is know what the coordinates are right there at -150. Well, the coordinates are both negative because it's in the third quadrant. So that is negative square root 3 over 2, because this is your 30-degree angle, and -1/2. Now, this is asking for the cosecant. Cosecant is the reciprocal of what your sine value is. Since that says -1/2, the reciprocal of -1/2 would be 2, and it would be negative. So our cosecant for this would be, let's see, equal to -2, because we have to take the reciprocal of 1/2. Okay. Now let's try angles that are in radians. So our next example would be the tangent of 3 pi. Okay, so again, you can either go to your unit circle, look at your unit circle that you've created, and go and figure out where 3 pi is. We know going all the way around once is 2 pi. We had a whole nother pi, so this is 2 pi right here. We know we're at 3 pi. Okay? And you need to know the ordered pair here at 3 pi. So that coordinate is negative 1, 0. Now remember, tangent is always equal to the y coordinate divided by the x coordinate. So in this case, this would be 0 divided by negative 1, which just gives you 0. So the tangent of 3 pi would be 0. So that's right here. Okay, let's go on to our next example. So let's try the sine of negative pi divided by 3. Okay, so if we do the sine of negative pi divided by 3, again, think about where your unit circle is. You could either figure out where regular pi over 3 is, and then reflect that over the x-axis, or realize that negative pi over 3 is just in the fourth quadrant, your 60-degree angle right here. Now we need to think about what the coordinates are for negative pi over 3. So our 60-degree angle, we know it becomes positive 1/2 and then negative square root 3 over 2. And then just reminding that the sine is always the y coordinate here. So this would become just negative square root 3 over 2 is the sine of negative pi over 3. Okay, let's look at another example. Let's do the tangent of 11 pi over 6. Okay, so think about where that would be on the unit circle. So 12 pi over 6 takes us all the way over to 2 pi, so we're 1 pi less than that. So we're just shy of going all the way around the unit circle. So if we go 11 pi over 6 here, we're at that 30-degree angle in the fourth quadrant. The tangent of that, the coordinates right here, would be square root 3 over 2, negative 1/2. Okay? Now, remember, tangent is y divided by x. Okay? So what this means is you are really doing something like this. And I always like to write it out lengthwise. Negative 1/2 divided by the square root 3 over 2. And this is where we need to do that KFC. So this really becomes negative 1/2 times 2 over the square root of 3. And then you can simplify, and what you can see is you can cross off your 2's. So your answer becomes negative 1 over the square root of 3. If you remember, we always talked about how you can never have a square root as your final answer, so we must rationalize by multiplying what, so let me just erase here for a second, by multiplying what we have to multiply the square root of 3 over the square root of 3, which is just the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. Then your numerator becomes just negative square root of 3, and your denominator just becomes 3. So that becomes your answer of the tangent of 11 pi over 6. Okay, the last part that we were practicing is determining what quadrant the angle is in. So let's say I give you this angle, 480 degrees. Okay, and I say, what quadrant is that in? So again, draw or look at your unit circle and realize if I go all the way over to here, that's 360 degrees. Okay, 480 may not even be on our unit circle, but we can figure out what quadrant it's in. Well, think about this. If I add another 100 degrees to this, I'm in the second quadrant right here, because that's 90. And right here, now I'm at 460. So if I add 20 more degrees, sure enough, I'm going to be somewhere in the second quadrant. So you can say second quadrant. Okay, let's try one more. What about negative 22 pi over 3? Okay, so now you're like, what? That's huge. So maybe what you want to do is figure out how many whole numbers there are between 22 and 3. Well, 3 goes into 22 7 times, okay? And then how much do you have left over? Is you have 1 pi over 3 over. Okay, so if you think about this, This means to go clockwise to 7 pi, so 7 times, think about that, and then go 1 more pi over 3. So this is really 7 plus pi over 3. So here we go. It's really 7 plus pi over 3. So this right here is a 2 pi. Then we go again, clockwise around 4 pi. Okay, go again, 6 pi. Now I'm going to go 1 more pi right here, which is at A180, and then I'm going to go 1 more pi over 3, and that takes me, silly enough, in the second quadrant. Okay? Now I want you to practice, if you can, look at the sheets that I've attached with this video.